All right, today we are diving into a really profound idea for handling something we have all, and I mean all, faced: injustice. What if being unfairly criticized wasn't a failure, but actually a powerful opportunity? Let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? That gut punch of being misunderstood or misjudged, or just flat out blamed for something you didn't do. It feels chaotic, painful, and so personal. But what if there's a hidden order to all of this?
So here it is. This is the core idea we're going to unpack. It comes from Indic philosophy, and it suggests that injustice isn't some glitch in the matrix. Nope. Instead, it's a powerful filter, a kind of sorting mechanism designed to separate clarity from ego and, well, good karma from bad. It's a challenging thought for sure, so let's break down exactly how it's supposed to work.
So in this first section, we're looking at how this concept, which is part of what's called Leela, or divine play, totally flips our understanding of injustice on its head. The whole idea is that the universe isn't just random stuff happening, but a purposeful, almost playful unfolding of a bigger plan. And from that point of view, injustice isn't a punishment, it's more like a diagnostic tool for the soul.
This slide really lays out the two different ways of seeing it. On the left, that's our typical reaction, right? We feel like a victim of some random, unfair pain. But on the right, if you look at it through the lens of this divine play, the perspective completely shifts. It's now a precise mechanism, a chance to actually refine your character and get your karmic slate a little cleaner.
So how does this sorting actually happen? Well, it all comes down to something called the Karmic Exchange. And to really get this, we need to be clear on two key concepts: Puṇya, which you can think of as spiritual merit, and Papa, which is basically demerit or sin. First up, Puṇya, or merit, and this is absolutely crucial. You don't earn merit just by suffering through something. The Puṇya, the good stuff, is generated by your response to that suffering. It comes from you actively holding on to your own goodness, your truth, and your inner calm, even when you're under attack. And on the flip side, you've got Papa, or sin. This is what piles up when someone acts from their ego, from pride or envy or anger. But look at that last line. This is so important. It is never automatically transferred. The critic's bad karma doesn't just splash onto you. It stays with the person who created it.
So what's the trigger? What's the thing that turns a simple action, like someone criticizing you, into karma that actually sticks to you? Well, according to the Bhagavad Gita, it's this concept right here: aham kara, or ego identification. It's that moment your ego pops up and screams, "Hey, this is happening to me," and it claims ownership of the whole event and all the drama that follows.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the two roads an event can take. When an action is met with that egoic ownership, that how dare they feeling, it creates binding karma. You're tangled up in it now. But if that same exact action is met with non-identification, with a kind of detached observation, it actually becomes a chance to refine and purify your own karma.
Okay, this table breaks the whole exchange down perfectly. Look at that first row. If you're the one getting unfairly criticized, and you manage to maintain your goodness and not lash out, you actually gain spiritual merit. You gain punya. But check out the second row. If you react with ego, if you retaliate, you don't just lose that potential merit, you might even rack up some sin yourself. And all the while, as you can see in the third row, the critic who just keeps on attacking, they're just piling on more and more of their own sin, their own papa. The karmic weight stays right where it's supposed to. So here's the bottom line. Retaliation is participation. The second you lash back with anger and ego, you basically erase the karmic line in the sand between you and the aggressor. You've just willingly picked up a share of the karmic burden that was never yours to carry in the first place.
Now, I know these concepts can feel a little abstract. So let's move on and look at how some ancient stories from the Mahabharata show this divine sorting in action. These stories really show us what this whole karmic economy looks like on the ground. So our first story is about a guy named Śiśupāla who just would not stop insulting Krishna. But Krishna, he didn't react. Instead, he just calmly stated that he would tolerate 100 of these offenses. Now, this wasn't weakness, it was divine accounting. He was basically giving Śiśupāla enough rope to hang himself, allowing his ego to completely expose itself without any interference. And that's really the core lesson here. The divine intelligence that's supposedly at play isn't in a rush to hand out justice. It gives things enough space and time for the truth of a situation and the real nature of everyone involved to become totally, undeniably clear. Now, for an even more dramatic example, the story of Draupadī. Here we have a completely innocent person, dragged into a royal court and subjected to the most intense, vicious public humiliation. Her character is attacked for absolutely no reason.
And what's just as important as the attack itself is how the crowd responds. The great warriors, the wise old men, the kings, they're all silent. Their silence is a choice. And in this big moment of karmic sorting, every single person in that room is showing their true colors.
Draupadi tries everything. She argues logically, she appeals to their duty, to their honor. Nothing works. Finally, when every single one of her human defenses has failed, she does the only thing left to do. She lets go of her own efforts and completely surrenders to a higher power for protection.
And in that exact moment of surrender, Krishna steps in. And his action is decisive, but it's not violent. As her attacker tries to disrobe her, her sari miraculously becomes endless. Her dignity is saved, and the attacker is completely humiliated by his own pointless act. The injustice was allowed to happen, but it was stopped from achieving its goal.
Okay, so a really common misunderstanding of all this is that it's just a call to be passive, to just be a doormat and let people walk all over you. But that's not it, not at all. The source material draws a very, very sharp line between just passively avoiding things and having active, conscious discernment.
This slide makes a really critical distinction. Passivity, over on the left, is about avoiding conflict because you're scared or confused. It's a retreat. Discernment, on the right, is an active state of awareness. It's not about never acting. It's about watching everything with total clarity and choosing when and how to act. Think about a tricky situation at work. Discernment is the difference between freezing up in fear and strategically waiting for the perfect moment to speak your truth, making sure your action comes from wisdom, not just a knee-jerk reaction.
So this brings us to the end, to the ultimate measure of the soul. The key takeaway from this whole thing is that what really, truly matters is what you choose to protect when you are being tested.
So let's just recap the big points. Undeserved criticism is a test. It's a sorting moment. And the entire outcome hinges on one choice. Are you going to protect your ego, or are you going to protect your inner goodness? Like it says here, merit is earned quietly when you endure injustice with grace, and it's lost in a flash, the second you react from your ego.
This quote just captures the transformative power of this idea so beautifully. By refusing to let injustice make you bitter, by holding on to your own path, you don't just survive the experience, you're actually refined by it. You walk away with less karmic baggage than when you started.
And we'll end on this final, powerful thought. At the end of the day, your character isn't defined by the praise or the blame you get from the outside world. In the silent, precise accounting of karma, the true measure of your soul is what you hold on to, what you refuse to let go of when everything is on the line.